What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Fresh Takes review. For those who are joining us for the first time, this is a series where Brock and I will discuss one of our favorite movies, TV shows, whatever, that one of us loves and the other either hasn't seen or hasn't seen in a few years. This one, I believe, Brock has never seen before.
I know nothing other than them talking about the amp. That's legitimately all I know.
Yeah. Today, we're talking about This is Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah.
So you said you've never seen this before?
I got nothing. I had no idea that it was. I didn't know what to expect, which it is not at all what I expected. I didn't know that it was like a documentary type movie. Didn't know that in the slightest. Yeah, it not at all was what I was expecting. Then again, I don't know what I was expecting, so
I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
So basically, this movie was the directorial debut of Rob Reiner, and it's basically a mockumentary of all of these, those like 80s hair metal bands. And this is sort of like the Christopher Guest version of like All You Need Is Cash, which was the Ruddles movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing I love the most about this movie is the fact that, like, even though we know that this is like a fictional band, they do such a good job of parodying the classic rockumentary formula to the point where you actually believe that these guys have been around for however long they said in the film.
I believe it was that at that point, it was either 13 years and 15 albums, or it was 15 years and 13 albums. I don't remember which one it was, but I was like, basically an album a year then. Got it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Before we get too much into this, I was looking up Christopher Guest stuff because he was the main person that I knew from this, other than Fred Willard, who was in the movie for like 2 minutes. He has been Nigel Tufnell on so many things. Now that I'm looking back through this, 80% of his IMDb history is him showing up in random things ever since that movie as Nigel Tufnell. It's ridiculous. Headbangers Ball, Rockline at MTV, Fox News, Spinal Tap, Bitch School video short. He has a bigger CV as just Nigel Tufnell as most A-listers have, period.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his most well-known, his most popular role.
Yeah, holy! I just didn't realize it was that extensive. Wow, holy crap! But yeah, I just want to get that in. Go ahead.
Man, I don't even know where to start, because this is one of those movies that I've seen countless times, both on VH1 and just watching on my own. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Like, I want to know a little bit more about your music background and.
Oh boy. Go ahead, be specific, because I don't know how much you're gonna get out of me.
Like when you were watching this movie, did what exactly were you expecting when you watched this?
I almost expected the tour aspect of all of it. That I sort of got. It was going to be this band called Spinal Tap, and it was very like self-irreverent and knew what it was talking about. I didn't expect quite the level of mockumentary, like near what I want to say, Monty Python levels of self-awareness. Like second drummer, Stumpy Joe, he just exploded on set. He just spontaneously combusted, which it happens all the time. They just don't investigate it that much. And what the fuck am I watching? And like the first one was I could have watched. I don't know where they were filming it, but when they were sitting down with I have to remember exactly Marty DeBurgi, when they were sitting down with Rob Reiner's character watching the or in that garden looking place, I could have watched a whole movie of just that.
Of just them like sitting in the garden and talking.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I didn't expect the to go back to your question. I didn't expect them to basically fall apart throughout the entire movie, and it to be brutally honest to the point of parody about how some crap in bands go. And to be very on point, like I can't remember exactly what the name, it might be the Beatles, I can't remember, but like there was one song where they played where it's got the pure white background, the thing in the back that's like multicolored, like blue, red, and yellow, and then they're wearing singular outfits to match it. Austin Powers parodied it too. It's from a well-known band. I just can't think of what it is.
Was it when they were doing the "Give Me Some Money" song?
It might have been. It was. They did a flashback to one of their old songs that they used to do, and I don't remember if they then played that song on stage.
I don't think I. I'm trying to remember which song you're talking about.
It was only in for like 2 seconds. It was a music video. It wasn't like they were playing something on stage. They were going back to an old song and then they showed a music video of it. And
oh wait, I think it was like their song like listen to the Flower People.
Yes, I think that was it. I swear the set they had was parodying something, because that exact set shows up with different psychedelic colors in Austin Powers, like basically an eye catch where they just like flambe around and then they go to the next scene. It's been parodied in a couple of different movies. I just can't think. And my mind is screaming Beatles, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
I don't know if that's parodying something specific. I think that's just one of those like generic 60s music videos.
Okay, that could very well be it.
But yeah, but things like that, and the give me some money song, which is honestly one of the most note perfect Beatles parodies that I think I've ever heard. Is just so spot on. That's something I love about the music in this movie. It's like it's a comedy first, sure, but the music all around is really good.
Yeah, and one thing I appreciate, and I'm pretty sure I said this in our last review, it's very hard to. No, I didn't do an interview for that. Oh, we talked about it in something I can't remember. It's very hard to be good at looking like you're doing something badly and it seemed natural. Like there's points where they're playing music badly, like it just seems like it's being played bad, but it doesn't seem like they're faking it. It seems like they were just genuinely not having a good time, like something seemed off. But it didn't seem like they were going out of their way. It just seemed like, yeah, it's a musician having a bad day. I was like, it didn't feel off. I was just like, yikes. Because I've been to concert. I used to be a big concert goer before I became a con goer. And like big shows like Skillet and Avenged Sevenfold, where they have a lot of stuff going on. And you could tell if something goes off and then they just try to get around it. You could see like effects in that. And I thought that was very well orchestrated. I did not expect the sheer amount of sexual songs that were in this movie.
Yeah, like when you listen to the lyrics, almost all of them are like super sexualized.
Or like when Nigel's with DeBerge. Nigel's my favorite character in this movie by a country mile. When he's sitting there with DeBerge where he's doing his mock thing and he's playing on the piano, he's like, yeah, it's really sweet. No, what do you call that? That's Suck My Love Pump. I'm just like, what? It's like, and it makes sense because, you know, that is part of what it was back then. Some bands heavily leaned into that, and then they made that excuse for why they didn't get the record sold. And I thought it was really poignant to where they just didn't make that a joke, and they kind of actually brought it full circle when oh man, I can't remember his name. They're in the lobby when they first get there before one of their shows get canceled, and that one rocker comes up.
Oh, hold on, what's
and their manager pretends to know like their bodyguard or like screws his name up. I can't think of what the guy's name is.
I think it was Duke Fame.
Duke Fame, yes. And they talked about like his record had him like tied down and a bunch of women were like standing around him. And then they had to bring up the point where like, yeah, he was the victim there and she wasn't. And they're just like, oh, got it. That's what was wrong. It's like, you idiots.
Yeah, it's like, oh, now I understand.
I understand we were stupid. They were really, this is one of the best, almost every line was attempting to be a joke, pretty much, but it didn't feel like they were trying for that. It just felt like that's how those people naturally talked and like how the scenes flowed. That was one thing that was rather different about the movie, in my opinion. There's very rarely a movie that tries to have everything basically be funny, but then not make it seem like they're forcing a joke into every line.
Yeah, I think like the dialogue is very like the humor is very subtle in that it has that very dry like British sense of humor,
mm-hmm.
where pretty much everything is a joke, but the characters themselves don't like they kind of speak in a very matter of fact tone.
Oh yeah.
So when the more absurd scenarios happen, like when they talk about the 300 drummers that they've had that have either died or spontaneously combusted,
choked on someone else's vomit. You know, you can't dust for fingerprints on vomit, so we didn't know whose it was.
Yeah, just moments like that really get to me.
Yeah, that was. I think the hardest I laughed. I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard. And like, there was a lot of moments where I thought were really funny, but the first one that made me out loud burst out laughing was when they lowered the Stonehenge. And I knew it was coming too. When she came into the office and they had the scale model, I'm like, I'm pretty sure he marked that piece of paper as inches. So she's thought that's what it was. And then that's what the joke was. I'm like, oh, that's still funny. And then I'm like, they're just not going to show it on stage. They lower it. Those like tiny, and everyone's noticing it at once. And those tiny leprechauns come dancing around on stage. I'm just like, oh my God.
My favorite part is the is like one of the crew members who's just like dropping it in the back and just like kind of walks away.
Exactly. He's like, I'm not having anything to do with this. So, is it safe to assume that we're not going to play Stonehenge tomorrow? No, we're not fucking going to play Stonehenge tomorrow. Stonehenge, I think. Stonehenge and Big Bottom might be my two favorite tracks that were on there. Those are really good.
Yeah, Big Bottom and Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You.
Yeah, that was another good one. Oh, before we get too far away from the writing, there was a line that what was his name? I want to say it was David said that I was just like, it's a very basically to define like how we said in their one of the last Gurren reviews was you could define an entire show in one line, and Gurren's was so we're gonna need an even bigger drill. This one was there's such a fine line between stupid and clever.
That could define both this and Gurren Lagann if I'm being completely honest.
Yes, that is very true. I didn't think about it that way, but you were 100% correct. Yeah,
one of the earlier bits that I love, another Nigel scene is when he's backstage and he's complaining about the bread and the small piece of bread.
He keeps folding it. No, you fold the bread, but it keeps breaking. You don't need to fold it so many times. You want bigger bread. I get it. All the things to complain about. It shows that, though. There's a great my favorite band of all time is 1,000 Foot Krutch. And there was a scene they did. They like filmed a YouTube video when they were backstage waiting for a performance to happen, and it was right around their "Flamin' All of Us" record came out, and Trevor was just being a dick just to be a dick to show what some people could be like backstage, where he had his tranquility room and all it was is 2 palm trees and a glass of water. He was just like bitching that his water was flat and that the trees weren't exactly perfectly in line with the frame and stuff like that. And then it ended, and he's like, this is how people should not be. We're going to say this is how some people are. Please don't do this.
Man, that is such a Spinal Tap inspired moment.
Yeah, and it's like you hear about people. I want to say it was Jennifer Lopez has it in her writer that everything in her room has to be pure white, and like I can't remember who it was. There was some band that they want Skittles in their room, but they don't allow the green Skittles to be in it. I can't remember who it is. It's a very well-known band or actor, but yeah, it was ridiculous. But
I think Drake and Josh parodied that. One of the child actresses, she wants gummy bears, but not the green ones.
Oh yeah, that very well could be it. Oh man, I miss Drake and Josh. Yeah, that. This is one of the weirdest movies where there was points where I was like, I don't know when the movie's ending. That was one of the weirdest feelings where it was like, it was a movie that like had its crescendos and stuff like that, but it leveled out really fast. And then they basically just came in and told you when the ending was, when Nigel comes in and tells them that Sex Farm, because it's Japan, is charting in the top 5 and that they should bring the band back together. And then it kind of just, I was like, I was just going to keep watching. This kind of seemed more like a TV show versus a movie.
Yeah. It seems like points where it kind of feels like reality TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, up until that scene, you never really get the feeling that the movie is about to end.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are some tells, like when the band just kind of completely falls apart.
Yeah. When Nigel took off in the middle of that performance, I'm like, all right, so yeah, it's gonna be coming to a head pretty quick here.
So we've talked a bit about Nigel and Dave, but what about some of the other characters like their manager Ian?
Their manager Ian was pretty good. That was another one I knew was coming towards the end when he finally quit. The entire time when he's trying to basically assure them that their life is not falling apart, even though they've had multiple gigs cancel. And then what was the scene in there when DeBerge is talking to him in his office, where it's just like, so you guys used to have 15 and 20,000 seater shows, and now they're losing out on shows in 1,500 and 2,000 seater shows. It's just like, are they losing their appeal? He says, no, their appeal's just very more selective now.
you gotta love when managers have such like obvious excuses for like their clients either lack of appeal or just like or like waning waning popularity. It's like, no. That's not why.
Well, that's part of their job, though. They have to have that. You have to be able to be a good bullshitter because, like, if your act does good, then you could just be honest and be like, yeah, we're doing awesome. He's doing great. But when the bullshit comes, they ain't talking to the band members. They're talking to you, and they're going to ask you why things went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I have to remember what his name is. Who was the guy that looked exactly like Levy for Motorhead? Name. It's not Viv, the other guy.
Derek Smalls.
Derek Smalls. He was another good, outstanding one. He didn't have a lot of moments, but whenever he was on screen, he always felt like he knew exactly where he to be. Like the scene when he gets trapped in that weird chrysalis type thing. And finally gets out when everyone's back in it.
I'm pretty sure something like that has happened on stage before.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Did you ever hear the not exactly with that, but for the longest time, and I don't know if it's still a thing, that pyro was outlawed in Canada?
I don't think I've ever heard that before, but
because James Hetfield
okay.
got himself lit on fire or something because of pyro, and then after that, they were just like, nope.
Okay, I knew about the James Hetfield incident. I didn't realize that was why it was outlawed in Canada.
Oh yeah, there was a big old ruckus. They're just like, yeah, nope, we're not having that be our image. It's done. Yeah, not good. I didn't know that either until I was watching a random Let's Play where one of the people that I used to watch went to a WWE Raw performance and they couldn't use pyro at the performance. One of them just like, thanks, James Hetfield. So I don't doubt that stuff happens all the time. There's a lot of bells and whistles you got to keep track of, and yeah, oof. I couldn't imagine being a stagehand for a lot of those bigger shows and some of the stuff they try and do. Like I mentioned, Avenged Sevenfold earlier. Corey Slipknot.
Corey Taylor.
Corey Taylor. He was, obviously you would know he fronts Stone Sour now, and has for a while. But like he was there with Stone Sour before, and then it was Hollywood Undead and them at the beginning of when they just did their Nightmare album. When their performances would start, and they would say "My Nightmare" and start that out. Corey Taylor would be fake hanging from a noose at the top of the stage, like 50 feet in the air. And then they would lower him down as the song played and then cut him off. I'm just like that noose is not actually applied, but like, what if you fell? Like, dude, just like the stuff that they try at these shows are just nuts to me. And like, even something as small as getting him out of that chrysalis thing would be complicated if something went wrong, even if you're doing your job correctly, just some motor malfunctions and
yeah, so many things like that can go wrong, but it's when they're done right that you like, that you can really be impressed. But it's when things go wrong when you really start to notice.
Mm-hmm. Everything's great until it goes bad.
Mm-hmm. Like one of my favorite moments is and I'm pretty sure everyone has parodied this since, where like the band is trying to find their way on stage and they get lost.
Yeah. You just gotta go up there, turn left, go right. Like I've had problems doing that, just getting to rooms at conventions. I can't imagine going through at some of these places where they're asked to perform. It's anywhere from like high schools to random auditoriums to freaking baseball events or baseball stadiums, basketball stadiums. And then it's like, and then just to keep you out of the way of the public, they have to create these rat mazes for you to go through so that no one sees you and stops you from getting where you got to go. And yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine that. I understand it's like that's their biggest problem to deal with in their life is that they can't find their way to the stage. I get it. That's not a big thing, but it's like you're on a tight time schedule and you're expected to be able to get into where you have to go in very little time, and then that happens.
Yeah, it can be it can be a lot to deal with in that moment.
Yeah. What were some other? And go ahead.
Any other scenes that stand out?
Well, obviously, I finally got to see the full context of like the amp and what amp in the speaker when you're going through the entire room of what I think was like 33 or something guitars. It's like
at least
you've played all of these. He's like, yeah, they're all special. He's like, don't touch that one. I wasn't going to touch it. Just pointing at it. Don't point at it. I just want to look. Don't even look at it. And then just the full lead up to the, but yeah, everyone else gets up to 10. Where do you go from there? And he's just like, exactly. But what if you just make the 10 more powerful and then that'll be your over for when you get up to it? But it goes to 11 and then it just cuts. It's just like, you can't win. It's showing like some rock stars you just can't win with people. And they make a really good joke out of it where it's like they're ingrained in the way that they do things and how they want to do it. And like, yeah. They did really good at trying to, they basically parried everything that a band could go through. One of them being like, if one of the rockers gets a girl to tour with them, like that was a big thing that screwed with them when David got, I can't remember what her name is. I can't remember her name is, but like it screws up one of their recording sessions. He can't go back and hang with his friends when they got the new game in the back and all that stuff. It's just, like I said, I could have, like, just for moments, I could literally have sat there and watched DeBerge interview them at that garden thing all day. Those are the funniest parts of the entire movie to me. Just asking them random questions like their like reviews for their albums. Shock sandwich, just 2 words, shit sandwich.
Like, that's not real.
That's not real. You can't post that. And then it's like, on what day did God create Spinal Tap? Why couldn't he have rested on that day? And one thing I wanted to bring up that I didn't realize it until we were actually in the credits, that this whole movie was basically created by a conglomeration of like 6 people. Like Rob Reiner directed it, and then Rob Reiner wrote it along with like 3 of the main stars in it. Yep. And just like, it was a very big collaborative effort between just basically those people. I was just like, I could show it. Basically, they got exactly what they wanted across, and it seemed very steady throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, it's very much a passion project with these people involved.
Oh yeah, I would very much say so. There's not many things that are like this, and that was one of the biggest reasons why you could tell that it was something that if they would have let someone else handle it, probably wouldn't have came out the way that it did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Some of the other movies that Guest has written after this, obviously you have like The Big Picture. Like he was in The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Then there's Waiting for Guffman, A Mighty Wind, Best in Show, and they all have that like that signature that that very specific sense of humor.
Oh yeah, definitely. You could tell when that person's helping writing it and getting the dialogue across that he's got a very unique way of how he likes conversations to flow. Yeah, that was something else. That was one of the most different movies I've ever watched. And it's not a bad thing. It was just different is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's one of those acquired tastes, but if you're into those like dry British comedies,
Yeah.
And if you happen to grow up like as a fan of heavy metal music, then this movie is just kind of right up your alley.
Yeah, it is very similar, though not quite to as bonkers of a degree as kind of like how Monty Python writers write their stuff. And I mean like what was the TV show?
Flying Circus.
Flying Circus, thank you. Like a lot of stuff like that. The Ministry of Funny Walks, but like stuff like that, but like toned down quite a bit. It still has that level of what they're trying to go for in their humor. It's just not quite kicked to 11 like everything else is.
Yeah, if Monty Python and the Flying Circus was at like 11, then Spinal Tap and Christopher Guest's Materials is like at a 6.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Now this will be a tough question to ask. Is there anything you'd change about the movie?
Oh boy. There was a couple of times where there were scenes where they were just trying to get across what bands go through sometimes that seemed like they kind of went on for like 4 to 5 minutes longer than they should have. And I'm not saying like they didn't need the scene at all, but like it's just like there's a couple of parts where it could have been just the fat could have been trimmed just slightly. But like no big changes, like the scenes had to get taken out, characters had to have less screen time. It was just that there was a couple of times where I felt like the scene could have moved on a lot quicker, but then it didn't. And that's where it's like, I meant like if someone had the movie, it probably would have been done a little differently. Now, this is only an hour and 20-minute long movie. I'm not saying it was like 2.5 hours and had to have big chunks cut.
Oh, no.
Like, no. This probably, for me, could have been cut down to like an hour 12. And it would have been just perfect. And it's like each scene just had slight itty-bitty parts where it dragged a little. Other than that, no. I think it's pretty good. So
I think I agree with that. There are like some scenes, mostly in the second act, that feel like they overstayed their welcome just by like a hair.
Mm-hmm.
But the iconic moments still stand out every time I watch this.
Oh yeah. You still have the good moments and all that. And everyone's going to have their own personal opinions. There's some people that could have watched it for whatever. Like, I could have had 3 hours of them sitting at that garden. I realistically could have, just watching an extended interview. That I could have done. It's just like, and then there's some moments where I wish it could have been a little bit longer, like those. It's all personal taste.
I honestly wish they would release like more more fake albums. Like I would have loved if like all while they were filming this, like they somehow released at least like one track from like every single one of their fake albums.
Oh yeah.
Like there is a soundtrack for the film, and the band has even like performed like a couple gigs.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I just wish we had more music from a band that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. And that's hard. It's like I know a buddy, Brian. I wasn't as huge on Scott Pilgrim as he was, but like he could have had a full like omnibus of albums from Sex Bomb, and it was just like you don't get like you get these little dry bangers in these movies where it's just like they really only had one release. It's like you could have listened to this the whole time, but those people unfortunately have different careers. So yeah. And with how close these people get, that was one thing where this was one of the ones where I could have seen them actually going like, no, we could actually like over time make an album.
Since this movie, they have released 2 other albums. In 1992, they came out with something called "Break Like the Wind."
Nice.
And then in 2009, they had one called Back from the Dead,
Nice.
which was to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the film.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, and it's like they must obviously love their roles, at least Christopher Guest, at least. I'm not kidding you, people. Go look at Christopher Guest's IMDb and count the amount of things that are not Nigel Tufnell. It's a small list. Like the last one. What was the last one he did as Nigel Tufnell? He was Spinal Tap Back from the Dead video that premiered in 2009. And he was on The Daily Show from 2000 to 2009 showing up as Nigel Tufnell. It's ridiculous. That, like, they obviously still love it. And like you said, it was a passion project. So it's like, how old are all of them now? Christopher Guest has got to be, he was born at 48. So he's 60 something? No. 80. He's in his 80s?
72.
72. Okay, I'm bad at math. Wow.
And he's married to Jamie Lee Curtis.
What? I did not know that. Okay. Huh. Nice. Good for him. Huh.
Yeah, that's a neat little fun fact.
Nice. Oh, is that in the... Oh, that's one thing that we should do when we're ever doing this is like James Willems likes to look up movie trivia because just some of the it's just bad movie trivia where they're just like, did you notice that in Hook, when they open the window, the shape of the window latch is the shape of a hook? Like, it's just random stuff like that. We should look at some of those for a future reference when we do these. But yeah, cool. Nice.
So any final thoughts?
Wait, hold on. I have to mention as a final thought, I'm reading this trivia thing. If this is true, during an interview with his wife, Jamie Lee Curtis, on the Graham Norton show, she mentions that he drives a Tesla with both of the volume and air condition dials going all the way up to 11.
Yep, that sounds like him.
Yeah, anyone who's a music fan, honestly, even if you're a little not quite all the way in with the humor stylings of the movie, you should at least check it out because you'll get some good things out of it. I like the but British humor out of it. Like, I love like Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels are like two of my favorite movies of all time. So they're all varying levels of this kind of humor that you're going to get. So if you didn't like it in certain movies, you'll get different levels. It's like onions. There's levels to it. And like, depending on what filmmaker you have, you're going to get different ones. So don't exactly ixnay it if you didn't like that style in a different movie. Still give it a try. And yeah, I highly suggest it. Like, I guarantee most people that if they don't know it's from Spinal Tap knows the whole it goes to 11 type thing. If you think that joke is funny, you will like a good chunk of the jokes that are in this movie because it's all that same type of thing.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think growing up a fan of this culture, I like this movie was an easy lay for me. But if you're not a big heavy metal fan, but you still love a good British comedy, then you should definitely check this out. And
Sure.
I would recommend some of Christopher Guest's other films, like Best in Show or A Mighty Wind, or just like anything with that similar style of humor. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I guess that'll do it for this one. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Captain K42. Check out my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. Find me in all of the various Facebook groups, just at my name. Check out Renegade Pop Culture. All our podcasts will be on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on Facebook or on Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. And last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. Brock, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Organoid0 on YouTube, but mostly on Twitch, where I've been streaming off of that boy a lot lately. I won't say what I'm streaming because by the time this comes out, it won't make sense. You can find me on a lot of the Renegade pop culture stuff. We're actually going to be doing one tomorrow. It's around Thanksgiving, so we'll be recording it around that time if that helps anybody. But yeah, this is fun. We're going to be starting another long form one. It might take a little bit to get to it, but you guys won't notice that because I'm technically going to be away next weekend, so we won't be recording it next weekend. But we're going to be starting Neon Genesis Evangelion, and this will be basically a fresh takes for both of us because Mike has not seen it, and I have not seen it since back in the day when you had to perform a demonic sacrifice to even find a dub of it. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. And then Mike is going to be bringing a friend along for it.
Yeah, my Renegade Animation co-host, Cameron, is going to be joining us. And boy, this will spark a lot of interesting conversations.
I don't know how this is going to go. I legit don't know what's going to happen because this is one of the weirdest shows ever. Gainax was just like, let's do some weird shit. And then we did too much weird shit and ran out of money. So we had to do different weird shit. And there's a video that probably when we upload it, if I remember, that I'm going to put in, and it's either the 37 timelines or the 27 timelines of Neon Genesis Explained. That thing goes places. And we should say up front that if we get accessibility in a way to where we don't have to pay out our asses, because Aniplex sucks for making and buying and watching anything, we're just right now doing the show. We will come to terms with what we might do with the movies when we see what the selectability is, because technically the last one's not out yet even. So we're going to go with that.
I'm sure by the time we finish, the new one will be right around the corner.
Yeah, it probably will be. We're just going to have to make sure that we're not paying out our ass to try and review it, just to try and view it, because I don't know where they're all available right now, so we got to work on that. But yeah, this was fun. We will see you guys next time, and then depending on, I don't even know how we would do that. We'd have to technically go back in time from this recording. We'll put up a vote somewhere somehow between what we would do after Neon, because we have options, but we're basically just blowing in the wind after that because these were the main big things that we wanted to do. I've thrown out some suggestions, but we'll see. So, yeah. Till next time, we will see you all later. And hold on. Gosh dang it. I was going to end on something. And I totally forgot. I was getting the model for life that Viv says at the end. Gosh dang it. You know what? You know what he says if you watch the movie. I completely forgot it. I was going to be clever, but that's the story of my life. I was going to be clever saying something else someone else said. So we will see you guys next time.